Hey everybody, it's Andy Kushner, host of the Wedding Biz, and I am here to provide education and inspiration for all of you, which I hope leads to empowerment. And I want to say I'm recording this the morning of Thanksgiving, and I really am feeling grateful. You know, I think I talked last week or the week before about just, sometimes I have trouble looking at the glass half full or even full, which is how I feel this morning. I really do. And I want to thank all of you who are listening. I so much appreciate your support. This is such a passion project for me. I absolutely love this show, The Wedding Biz, this podcast, and interviewing people and pulling out their stories. And it's so inspiring for me personally and educational. And so I just thank all of you for tuning in week after week. It really means a lot to me. I also want to thank my team. Jemmy Legagnier. Jemmy is my director of the network, which I'm launching next year. I'll tell you more about that later. And also of sponsorships. Jemmy also is working on my site and all kinds of other things. So Jemmy, thank you. Also, Daryl Darnell of Pro Podcast Solutions, who handles all the project management, the editing, the technical side of this show. Nicole is my wonderful project manager. Thank you, Nicole. Jeannie is the show note writer, does a wonderful job. And Mike, absolute brilliant editor. Thank you all so much. Also want to thank a consultant that I have had for many years, and that's Sean Lowe, who you've heard many times on The Next Level with the business of being creative. Sean is an absolute incredible consultant. Sean, I just can't thank you enough. If it weren't for you, I would not be where I am in both my music business, Kushner Entertainment, and this podcast, The Wedding Biz. So thank you, Sean. And again, thank you all for listening. Let me tell you about last week's episode, if you missed it. And that was Michaela Erlanger, celebrity stylist who just announced her new bridal styling division. She is also a best-selling author of How to Accessorize a Perfect Finish to Every Outfit. She was named one of the most powerful stylists by The Hollywood Reporter. She styled Constance Wu, Lupita Nyong'o, Jennifer Hudson, Hilary Swank, and more, and recently styled Amanda Hurst for her own wedding. So that was a real kind of different and very special episode last week. And I had on it for The Next Level, I was very lucky to have Carrie Goldberg from Harper's Bazaar. So two really good sessions last week. And so now the guest of the week, this is a different sort of an episode for The Wedding Biz. This guest is actually outside of the event industry. It's Adam SCHAEUBLE. And I wanted him on because I heard Adam give just a wonderful presentation on Instagram at a podcast conference where I was also speaking. And I mean, I'm just slow when it comes to this because this was so over my head, but I did catch enough to know that it would be so good to have him on this show to talk about how can we improve our Instagram presence? How can we expand our audience and get our message across more effectively? And that's what we talk about today. Now, Adam is also the host of the top-ranked health podcast, The Million Pound Mission, where his goal is to inspire 1 million pounds of healthy results. He has been known for helping a whole lot of people lose weight. So he also does that. And again, we don't really talk about weight. We're talking about Instagram, like these great tips for engaging followers and tips for those who conduct workshops or want to do workshops, or even a creative way to partner with friends in the industry, not in your business, but rather through Instagram. You'll see what he means when we get into this. He also talks about IGTV, which all of us really should be taking advantage of, and the use of hashtags and so much more. So enjoy my conversation with Adam SCHAEUBLE. Adam, it is so good to have you on the show. You know, we met at PodFest 19 in Orlando last March, where both of us were speaking. And I thought that since wedding and event industry professionals use Instagram more than any other social media platform, you know, I attended your session and you blew me away, man. Your session was phenomenal.
Well, Andy, man, I am just so appreciative of you inviting me on here and sharing your platform. And yeah, I tend to find workarounds and kind of like guerrilla marketing techniques that everybody is used to seeing. So I'm really excited to share those here today.
Yeah. And in the wedding and event industry, there are, you know, people who are really good with social media. But I like the idea, Adam, of having you specifically because with you not being in the industry, I really think you're going to bring some other ideas that we all don't necessarily think of, you know, within the industry. And so that's another reason why I wanted to have you on to hear your perspective and your ideas.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's always good to have that outsider opinion to just shine a light, and not necessarily a totally different light, but maybe a light in a different direction. You go, oh my God, and let you guys, I kind of want to just spark a few ideas and allow you to run with that with your creativity, because I know your audience is full of super creative people.
Yeah, that's true. And, before we dive into that, tell me more about your background so the listeners can understand where you're coming from, how you came to be, as I call it, it's so advanced with Instagram, that you're traveling around giving presentations about it. How did you get to that point?
Yeah, well, it all started with a weight loss journey that I went on. And that's why in my first podcast, Million Pound Mission, I'm known as the PhD, the previously heavy dude. And so I went on a 100-pound weight loss journey. I ended up helping my hometown lose 35,000 pounds.
Wait. Did you say you lost 100 pounds?
Yeah, 120 pounds. Yes, indeed.
Oh my God. And how long of a period of time was that?
5 years, but
it was still.
It counts. Yeah.
That's tremendous. And then you say you helped your hometown lose, did you say 35,000 pounds in total?
Yeah. So I had, as I went on my own journey, I had lots of people asking me, like, what are you doing? Can you help me? Can you give me some tips? So I eventually just started doing little boot camp programs, which turned into a business, which turned into me renting space, which turned into me buying space. And over the same 5 years that I lost my 100 pounds, we did over 35,000 pounds just in my hometown. And that's where the Million Pound Mission podcast sprung from. And once I figured out this podcasting thing, I decided to launch a second show, which is what all of us pod addicts do, like Andy and I. And I launched Casting the Pod. And then once I had two shows going, I really started to figure out the bulk of my audience for both shows. They were hanging out on Instagram. And that's when I dove deep on the IG and really started to figure things out.
Just to market your own shows, you're saying?
Yeah, to grow my audience. I figured out that, that's where my people were hanging out social media wise. And I'm like, I want to connect with these people. So I want to find better ways to connect, because then they go and tell the people about my show, my live events. They, are out there spreading the word because they see that I'm interacting with them. I view social media not as marketing. I view it as a conversation, and I love to have very interesting conversations with people and start the right type of conversation that leads to audience growth.
Oh, I really like what you're saying. And by the way, in the show notes, I'm going to want to put the information about the Million Pound Mission, in case anyone is interested in losing weight and seeing what you have to offer. So we'll definitely do that, Adam. But as far as Instagram, yeah, with the wedding and event professionals, it's the same thing. We are very interested. We are most interested, I would say, in growing our audience and also more effectively engaging, the followers that we do have. I mean, as you know, and as I'm learning, and I'm a real novice. So I want to say during this entire conversation, I'm somewhat of a novice, but I know for myself as well, I do want to grow my audience. And then I want to find ways, again, more effective ways, because it's not that easy, in order to really engage them, because we all have so much going on. We're all following a ton of people on, sticking with Instagram on that platform. And so to stick out among the rest, and get that focus, get that attention. And Adam, I'll tell you, there are a few people I've interviewed, and one just came out recently, as a matter of fact, but there's a few people who straight out said it's because of social media and especially Instagram that they were able to really take a fast track to growing their business and getting into the luxury market fairly quickly. So yeah, if you could just, lead this along and help us with how best to, achieve those goals of growing audience and engaging people.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this, Andy, because I feel like the audience that you have here in the event industry, the wedding industry, on both sides of the equation, people putting on the events and people that are involved in those events, it's an audience that is really doing well with Instagram already, because they are putting up very creative posts and just visually beautiful images.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's an amazing foundation. And what I hope to show you guys is ways to grow your audience, ways to connect with your audience outside of the posts, outside of the traditional images. So I'm going to show you some things with Instagram stories, Instagram lives, Instagram TV that most likely you probably haven't quite figured out yet. And again, it's just like a business. You know, you don't want to just get new people and have 10 new people come in and 10 people go out the back door at the same time. We want to curate our audience and maintain the people that we do have following us to keep those conversations going, because that's how we grow our influence and that's how we grow our businesses. So, Andy, would you want me to just dive right into some tips, or do you have a specific area?
Well, I mean, I do, but let's first start with what you suggest.
All right. Well, the tip I always start with, because I feel like it is the easiest way to connect with your audience that you have and build influence with them, is what I call the "have you ever" question. And this is something that you're going to do in your Instagram stories. And this is a question that I borrowed from Brendan Burchard, who's a marketing dynamo. So what we're looking to do is we work backwards from the thing that you're trying to promote. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service. So if you are a wedding planner, you could ask a question that your service solves. Maybe it is, have you ever felt like you're getting ready for your wedding, but there's too much on your shoulders and you just can't get organized? Or, just ask the question that you hear all the time from the people that you help. That's the question that we want to ask.
I love how you phrased that. Say that one more time again.
So you ask the exact question that you are hearing all the time from the people that you want to help.
Yeah, great.
So with weight loss, the type of question I ask all the time is, do you ever get frustrated with the weight loss process of losing weight and gaining it back over and over again? Does that frustrate you? So those are the types of questions that I'm asking, because I can solve those with podcast episodes, with coaching sessions, with live events. I can promote all sorts of different things. It's just asking the right question and starting the right conversation. And what we do is we ask that question in the form of an Instagram story poll. The Instagram story allows you to put up a poll which has a 2-option answer. Usually it's yes or no, but you can customize it with emojis. You can customize it however you want. But the cool thing is you can see who answers yes or who answers no, or whatever the answers are, and you can communicate with those people. So let's say that you've got a killer live event coming up, and you ask the question that gets people to kind of self-affirm that yes, they need to attend that event to get that solution. And you can go through and see that these 15 people, I don't care how big your audience is, these are ideal prospects for your service. And you can follow up with every single one of those people. I prefer to do that with a voice message, because I've got a big, strong voice and it resonates with people. And they're like, yes, this is actually him answering this question. But if I'm like, let's say I'm promoting a podcast episode and people hit the affirmative answer that they need to listen to this podcast episode, I'll follow up with every single person and just give them a quick voice recording of, hey, I saw that you answered yes, that you struggle with this issue. I've got your back. I want you to check out episode number 280. And here's the link. And you can put the direct link right there.
And Adam, if I could stop you right there, I just want to say, first of all, that tip right there, I just really want to point this out for all of us, to leave a recorded voice. And I'm assuming, let me first back up for a minute. So you're doing this in general, with a story. People are responding in, I don't know what it's called, in the grid, or if it's a story there. But are you then direct messaging them? That's what you must be doing. You're then DMing them with an actual voice message versus typing it out. Is that correct?
Exactly right, Andy. You nailed it, brother. See, you're catching on to Instagram. You aren't such a newbie anymore.
No, but I love that already you're making it so personal and definitely engaging by leaving a voice message. So let's keep going. I love it.
Well, and the cool thing about voice message is the mystery, Andy. That's a lot of people are DMing back and forth, and especially if you're trying to communicate with somebody that gets a lot of DMs, it's just text. That's
right.
And if they see that blue play button, ooh, I wonder what this is. Like the mystery of and it's so easy just to push it and then hear the voice. I mean, I've booked some amazing guests. Like if you're trying to get in front of influencers, this is the strategy. Do not type a DM to them. do a voice DM because the human tendency is to click on the play button to find out what's on the other side.
Yeah.
All right. So, but anyway, it's a great way also if you're promoting a program, a product, a service, it adds that personal touch. It's like, this isn't a bot. This is Adam talking to you. This is me. I say their name. It's my voice. I say my name. And it just adds that realism. And it's so easy to do too. It takes 10 seconds.
It's so much more personal. And especially if you can catch the first name, if it's easily findable when people write you or respond, to do that as well. And I want to point out too, I mean, in our crowd, we're trying to get the attention of potential couples, potential people who are going to hire our services for events, and also even within the industry, people who will hire us within the industry or refer us. And then some of us also do have workshops, or we're writing books, that we want to pitch. And so this is really quite apropos.
Yeah. And like I said, you could just do this and you guys will sell more products, sell more tickets, sell more services. It's just whatever it is that you're trying to promote, whether it's a freebie opt-in, a newsletter thing, what is the thing? Work backwards from that. What does the thing solve? And then ask the question that will get people to affirm yes or no, they need that problem solved. So we work backwards from that. And so once you have the question with the poll on one Instagram story slide, the next slide is the answer. And that's you on video explaining it, or an image or whatever, the event, the freebie opt-in, and that goes there. But really, that's just icing on the cake. The real strategy here is you look for the people that do answer the affirmative response.
Got it.
And you message every single one of those people. And literally that's a great way to, there are people like right now I've got 11,300 people that follow my Instagram account. There are people out there that have way more Instagram followers than me, but they aren't monetizing like me because of this strategy. Like, I make the most of my audience because I'm effectively communicating and getting them to self-affirm and say, yes, I do need this thing. And then we communicate with those people directly.
I want to make a point too, to add to what you're saying. There's a very big guy in the industry in furniture, Edgar Zamora, who I interviewed Edgar on the Wedding Biz. And one of the things that he told me, I don't remember if it was on the mic or off the mic, but he mentioned how he told his entire team, and he's got a large team. He said, when you're responding, through the company's social media platforms, when people start to follow him and his company, he has himself or other people thank every single person. Like, he thanks them for doing it. And he said when he did that, when he started to have his company do that, their following just from that tip alone grew like crazy. And so I can see, and I started to use his method that, when people would start to follow me on Instagram specifically, I would thank them, and I would find just what you're saying also, without even before I asked a question, that a conversation would sometimes start to happen. And I think that personal touch is really huge.
Yeah. And today people are really big on scaling things, but just having some humanity, that element included in there, it will make you stand out against everybody. And especially if you're in a really crowded space, like this will make you stand out, that you're willing to get in the trenches and interact. That's a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah. So what else you got?
All right. So that is within the Instagram story, and that's more monetization, selling your stuff, connecting with the people that you've already got. One of the strategies that I just tested over the last few weeks that has really worked well for show growth, or for audience growth, I should say. I always speak in terms of show because of my podcast, but
Sure.
for audience growth is I am putting on a live event here that's going to happen at the time of recording. It's going to happen this weekend. So I'm super excited about that. I've got 7 speakers coming in to speak at my event. So if any of you put on events with personalities, with influencers, you have guests and things like that, this will really work well. I got some background, entertaining information about each of my speakers by having them fill out a quick survey. So I found out like what their favorite sports team was, what kind of cartoons they watched as kids, like things that people don't traditionally know about them. And in Instagram story, you can create a quiz with a correct answer, and you can have up to 4 options with 1 correct answer and 3 incorrect answers. And people are going to interact with that. But the real gold came from so one of my influencers that's come to speak, his name is Danny Vega. He's got like 50,000 Instagram followers. He's a big strength training coach, and he's, a person of influence. So I put up a question of what cartoon did Danny Vega grow up watching religiously, never missed a weekend. And I put all the options up, and people are just guessing. But Danny shares it out because I tagged him in that. And then all of a sudden, his audience is voting and interacting with my account as well, and they're following me. So that's one way you can do this. The even more effective way of doing the quiz is, I would say, whose favorite cartoon growing up was He-Man? And then I would list each one of the speakers and tag each one of them.
Oh,
so
that's a great idea.
All of them are sharing that out. And then they are posting, literally they start posting videos going, like one of the female speakers kind of made fun of my friend Justin. She's like, oh, I bet the Dragon Ball Z cartoon, that sounds kind of nerdy. So that's probably Justin. She tags him. Then he posts a video on his account tagging me and her. It was like a battle back and forth of who's the right answer. And all the social media storm started to happen just by this little quiz because I tagged them all, and then their audiences are chiming in and they're all interacting on my quiz. So that has worked really well. Again, so this would work if you're dealing with multiple influencers, if you have an event where like keynote speakers are coming in to speak, getting some background information, and then it's a trigger for them to share it out because they will want their audience to interact with it. It's just kind of fun and cool.
Yeah, I that's a great idea. I mean, for some of us listening, we do have workshops, and I'm thinking for those of us who don't, I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here, but when one of the big tips that we do, and I'm sure this is not just with the event industry, is that when we're doing a job, we'll tag everyone who's on the job, who's on the event, and usually it's a past event. We could talk about one that's coming up, but I could see adding that fun element because I know, I don't know if I'm I don't want to take you in a direction you don't want to go in yet, but I know that Instagram Live is the place to really show personality, and the grid in our case, in our industry, is to show the work, but Instagram Live is where we really show our personality. And I can see even taking an event that we worked on and that we've tagged everyone and have a little fun with it, take it to a whole nother place, and having those kind of quizzes and questions to, like you say, to take it further, to also get those people we're tagging to take it further.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. You're kind of reading my mind here, Andy. It's amazing. The IG Live, that is where I wanted the conversation to go to next, because what people don't realize a lot of times on Instagram, like they fear the live, like, oh my God, it's unedited, it's uncut.
Right. Yes.
And if people are in their like performance space, or if they're used to having editing rights or being very well polished, that could freak people out. And the real thing that's growing accounts on Instagram right now that I'm seeing is authenticity, and people, owning their mess ups and owning that their hair looked weird or something, or it was 5 a.m. and like people want to see. Just be real. Yeah. And people want to see what you look like at 5 a.m. and they go, oh, I look kind of jacked up at 5 a.m. too, or whatever, it's so going live and letting people have that little window into your life, and you and them just having a conversation. It's huge, but also the algorithm is going to really send some juice your direction, because on any social media platform, live is king, and that algorithm loves it. And that's a great way to grow your show. Now, one of the tips that I want to teach your audience here, Andy, is about doing a split screen interview or conversation on Instagram Live. And you effectively, this is probably my number one tip for growing your audience. And I'll show you a couple different ways to approach this. So let's say Andy and I are associated, and maybe we're going to collaborate on a project, an event, a podcast, something.
Yeah, let's say that I'm a planner and you're a photographer that I'm going to be working with, or did just work with on an event.
Okay, so what you could do, Andy, is you'll do a regular Instagram post and say, "Listen, I'm going to go live with Adam. He's the photographer that I'm working with at this event. If you have questions about photography, if you have questions on X, Y, and Z, here's what we're going to cover. Make sure that you show up for the live cast. It's going to be amazing." And then we would set a time where we go live. Maybe it's like Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's an important part, though. I don't want to just gloss over. You got to pick a time that your audience is available. So if your audience is moms that need to put their kids to bed, be aware of that. Like, don't do it right at bedtime or dinner time. So that's one thing I don't want to gloss over for sure. But we would go live, and Instagram Live is super, super easy. And there's no additional app or tech needed to do a split screen to pull someone else in, which is amazing. So what would happen is Andy would go live. I would see that he's gone live. I would just leave a comment. He can click on my comment and it gives him the option to pull me in live. That's how easy it is.
Wow.
So, and they also give any viewers the option to request to join the live cast.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but I could also see just simply friends in the industry, you know, just to tie it back to the wedding and event industry, a friend in the industry, just simply, you know, doing that to have a conversation, you know, period.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going with that.
So yeah, this is where you guys can really brainstorm and get super creative. Let's say that Andy goes live. I join the live cast. Here's the magic, everybody. The algorithm announces to Andy's audience, hey, Andy's going live. You need to tune in, and it's pushing, and it says it's all those notifications are going out. But so is my audience. So the algorithm is notifying my audience at the same time. Adam's going live, as if I originated the live cast. It's the same algorithm juice from both directions.
Wow,
that's huge.
Fantastic.
Like, I was speaking at a podcasting event last weekend, and the big question was, I only have 15 followers. How do I grow my show? This is how you do it. You leverage other people's audiences by having interesting conversations in split screen format, and people will follow you because all they have to do. We want to have a few cues with this because it'll be a top and bottom split screen, and on the top frame, both of our Instagram images will be there in the left-hand corner. And I will tell people at some point when I'm initiating one of these, hey, make sure that you click on Andy's picture. That way you can follow his account if you're following from my side of the equation. And then you kind of reciprocate and be like, yeah, if you're following from my side, make sure you click on Adam's picture and follow his account. So that it's that easy for them to get connected to our IG. And then boom, we are in business. And just one example of the success I've had with this, I do follow-up podcast interviews. So I'll interview somebody, and then after their show is released, I'll do a 10 to 15 minute follow-up Instagram Live. I did this with Matt and Mega, my friends from the Keto for Normies podcast. They've got about 500,000 Instagram followers. We did a follow-up interview on Instagram, and I gained 300 ideal prospect followers in 15 minutes.
Wow. That
were like ideal people that I can help, that will buy things from me. Their audience is my wheelhouse. So be thinking about, all right, who is an Instagram influencer that has an audience that is in my wheelhouse? And then how do we offer them value?
Yeah, just find a way to get them together with you. Right.
Exactly. And it's a value add. You could be like, I'm hosting a 3-expert Thursday. I'm going to do live interviews with 3 different experts in the entertainment industry. I'm a big fan of yours. I would love for you to come in and be a part of this. So you're adding value to them by inviting them to be a guest, but the algorithm brings all their people with them. And and I mean, it is amazing how much engagement you get and how fast people start following your account. And then you can get strategic with, and then you can preview the next week so that people are really motivated. Yeah, I got to follow his account. Otherwise I won't know about next week, or I won't see next week, or the next show, the next interview. And that's where we start connecting the dots. But really, it's all about the algorithm juice coming from both directions. And it's a win for everybody. Now, one other angle we can take with this is that if you are the expert, or if you are the teacher, live Q&A is super effective with this also, where you could put up a post saying, hey, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be going live and talking about interviewing skills or wedding event planning strategy, or whatever your topic of expertise is. Then you let people know that they will be available to request to do split screen with you in 5-minute segments, or however long you want to talk to them. So it's not just a text Q&A, like post your questions below and I'll answer them. It's, I'm going to pull you in live. We're going to have a face-to-face conversation about whatever question you have. But as you do each person, the algorithm is announcing that they're live also. And the neat thing about like non-influencers is that they aren't going live all the time. The average Joe isn't going live all the time. So when somebody sees that, wow, Aunt Tracy's going live, what in the world's going on here? They're going to tune in. Like all 15 of her followers are all of a sudden going to jump in there and be like, what's this about? And then they see her asking you her question and you guys having a conversation. So it's another way to leverage. And you can do an hour of that and have, 10, 15 people on there one at a time. And you don't have to ever start the feed over or anything. There's an X box on their image. You click on the X, it takes them off the screen. The next person can join right away. Now you can only do 2 at a time though. You can't do more than 2, you being one of the people. So that is one caveat to be sure on. But I mean, really there's just limitless possibilities when you have people that you want to connect with and leverage the algorithm to grow your show or grow your audience.
Great, man. That's a good one.
So now, Andy, there's one other way. I briefly mentioned it, that you can take this up a notch. And this is one of the things I talked about at PodFest that a lot of people really got, is that if you have several connections or experts that can speak on one topic, I do these, what I call an Instagram Live mini summit. And this is where, like, if you're in the wedding and event industry, take different experts from different components of that, and then say, I'm going to do a 3 expert Thursday, and you're going to go live for 1 hour in a row, and you're going to pull one of those experts into the feed every 15 minutes. And the neat thing that I've noticed, this isn't official knowledge, but one of the things that I've noticed is that it seems like the Instagram algorithm operates in 10 to 15 minute intervals, where the longer I go live, all of a sudden in that 10 to 15 minute zone, I see more people hopping on. All of a sudden, more likes, more hearts, more people joining. And then that happens about every 10 to 15 minutes. The algorithm sends some more juice, like, ooh, things are happening. This is a lengthy one and people are interacting. So it sends more people. But the cool thing about this method is you get the first person up there, you do the little presentation, the little interview, and then you say, listen, people that are tuning in from their side of the equation, I'm about ready to bring on Andy in segment 2, and you don't want to miss that because of X, Y, and Z. Make sure you follow my account right now because I'm getting ready to take this person out of the frame, and Andy's coming on next. Here we go. So all the people are scrambling to follow your account because they want to see what person 2 has to say. And then we do the same thing with person 2 into person 3. When person 3 is on, we go back and say, you guys missed person 1 and person 2. But good news is this replay will be in my Instagram story for the next 24 hours. Make sure you follow my account. That way you don't miss any of the awesomeness. And it just flows, and you get algorithm. You share the algorithm and the audience of all 3 of those influencers, and it just builds synergy. And it's an amazing way to really grow your account and find those ideal followers that are in the space that you're trying to connect with.
Great idea. Yeah.
All right. Andy, do you want to talk a little Instagram TV?
Yeah. I've heard quite a bit outside of the event industry and other places that IGTV is huge. And from what I can tell, us in the weddings and event industry are not utilizing IGTV nearly enough, if at all. So if you could really help us to understand that and how to use it, that would be great.
Yeah. So anytime on social media, a platform creates a new option, we know that the algorithm is going to be weighted heavily on that one. And that's why we want to dive in. Even if we haven't quite figured it out, just dive in and start experimenting, right? So Instagram TV is that new baby with Instagram, and they are tossing major algorithm juice in that direction. So we all need to get to where we are posting Instagram TV videos. What I want you to think about with Instagram TV is like YouTube. All right, that's like Instagram's version of YouTube, where this is where we are teaching. This is where we have like highlights, recaps. If you do like with podcast episodes, I'll do recaps, like little 5-minute, 10-minute recaps with highlights from the show. If you have an event and you want to showcase this event, if you do an amazing wedding, you have video footage. Oh my God, you have to put this on Instagram TV because it's only going to promote whatever you've got going on to promote your program or your service. And what will happen on Instagram TV is you put up the video, and it looks better if it's vertical video. You can do a horizontal video like YouTube now, but it it could get weird or it could get smushed. So Instagram TV is traditionally a vertical video. So your phone would be vertical, not horizontal, but you're going to post up a nice looking vertical video where it, whatever it is that you want to showcase. And then there's text below that. Now, the cool thing about the text is that you can leave a link in there. And Instagram is very stingy with their links. Usually there's just the link in the bio and everything is like link in bio, link in bio. With Instagram TV, they're allowing people to put a direct link in the comments, which is another huge bonus. And so you've got an amazing event and you can be like, book me for your next wedding or book me for your next event, or I'm looking for X, Y, and Z for my next event. Go to this website to apply. Direct link. And that's huge.
Yeah. And before you go on, I want to just interject for everyone listening that if for whatever reason, there's some events we're not able to do that with, I know that people are dying to hear and see behind the scenes.
Yes.
That is huge. So God, the way I'm saying huge, where did I get that? I don't talk like that. Anyway, it's a really big deal. And so I just want to say to everyone while we're listening to Adam talk about IGTV, to show behind the scenes footage, which also brings in that authenticity element into it as well. People love that. So I just want to throw that out so it's on people's minds while you're telling us about IGTV.
Yeah. And the cool thing about IGTV is that once you post that video, these are showing up on the popular page all the time, like that main home screen where it's out there just pushing massive algorithm to you. So you've got a much better chance of getting eyeballs in front of this that are just random people. Now, hashtags on IGTV, that's important because people are searching hashtags to find IGTV videos more than anything else that I've noticed out there. So you want to have good hashtags that are relevant to what you're talking about and just try a bunch and see what works well for you. But if you're an event planner, like hashtag event planning tips, event planning expert, event planning for weddings, whatever it is, just get 10 of them and try them out and see what works and what doesn't work, but also kind of cycling through them. That's kind of an interesting thing about Instagram too, is that it seems like if you keep using the same hashtags over and over and over again, you get less juice from that. So,
well, I have a quick question about hashtags. I don't know if you need to then come back to IGTV if you've got more on that, but just for a moment about hashtags, I've been hearing different opinions about that, where a lot of people are going to use the most popular hashtags, that have hundreds of thousands of followers or something like that. Then I've heard other people say, no, don't do that because it flies by so quickly in the feed that you're really not getting any benefit. And instead look for hashtags that are, maybe there's 1,000 followers and you could even, if it's lower than that, which is hard to find, but like 500, you could actually own that hashtag practically. But what do you think in terms of, just to again lay this out, the difference between using hashtags that have an enormous amount of followers versus hashtags that have, medium or less amount of followers?
Great question, Andy. What I've experienced personally, again, all of this is just my personal experimentation, is I go with smaller volume hashtags for Instagram posts and Instagram TV. I go with larger volume hashtags in Instagram stories. And the reason for that is on Instagram stories, if you leave a hashtag, you can see how many people see it. Like it tells you how many eyeballs were on that from that hashtag.
Okay.
So I'll use bigger ones because it just gets more eyeballs flipping through on the Instagram story, and people just scroll. It's just a volume thing with the Instagram story. The Instagram post, that's where you want to own that hashtag. That's when you want to get more specific and talk to a smaller audience, because that's going to require someone to come in and invest some time to actually read your post usually. And same thing with Instagram TV. They're going to have to watch the video. So that's just something that, again, that's not exact science, but that's just what I've noticed that has worked for me is the bigger hashtags on the stories, the smaller, 1,000 person, 10,000 or less usually is what I shoot for with the Instagram posts and the Instagram TV.
Okay. Now, if you don't have anything more on IGTV for today, I've got some other questions, or do you have some more on IGTV?
Well, the last thing I want to mention about IGTV is that when you complete the IGTV post, they will post it as a regular Instagram post as well with a 1-minute preview. And they're really pushing that out big times. And it'll give you the option. do you want to post this in your Instagram feed? You always say yes, because they're sharing that out a lot more than a traditional Instagram post. And you guys can test this out. Like, if you have an event that you're promoting, maybe put that out there as a regular Instagram post, and then a week later, put it out as an IGTV video that comes out as a post via IGTV. I guarantee you'll get more likes, more views, more eyeballs on that post. So that's what I just want to make sure people know, to always say yes, post this as a regular Instagram post as well.
That's great. And again, IGTV is something we all really need to work more on taking advantage of. Now, also, I know that for people who have 10,000 or more followers, you've got this ability to swipe up from the bottom. If you have under, you can't, but I'm sure you probably have workarounds. Can you first explain, for those who may not know, what you do get when you can swipe up? And so why, therefore, why do we want to do a workaround if we have under 10,000 followers?
Yes, this is a very good question, Andy. And this is a really important thing to address, because for the longest time, I'm seeing all these swipe ups in the story. I'm like, how in the world do you get this magical swipe up to a direct link? It's amazing.
So that's what it is. It gets you a direct link.
Yes. And that's the big frustration with Instagram, is the only link they give you is the link in your bio or the link in your Instagram TV. So once you cross 10,000 followers, they give you the ability to put a direct link, a swipe up on your Instagram story. So, if you're under 10,000 followers, traditionally people will go, I would have people ask the have you ever question. And then the next slide is the service that answers that question. And then you would add text, link in bio. And just imagine how much easier it is to go swipe up and get it. I mean, it's amazing. And that, I threw myself an Instagram party when I crossed 10,000. I'm like, oh my God, I get the swipe up.
I saw your posts about that you were approaching, right?
I did a swipe fest.
That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any kind of courses, workshops where people who are listening to this and want to get your help, like, for example, to really dig into IGTV or whatever, what do you have available, Adam, that people can get information on in order to help them go further with social media, and particularly Instagram?
Yeah, I've got an Instagram course on my website, castingthepod.com. And that, if you are into podcasting, that's also my podcast about podcasting, which Andy is an upcoming guest on, which I'm super fired up about.
Cool. Yeah.
But that's the hub. And you guys can always just connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @MillionPoundMission. That's 100% where I operate from with Instagram. Send me a direct message. And if you send me a DM, you're going to get a voice direct message back.
I was just going to say, they're going to hear this wonderful voice of yours. Yeah.
It is. That's how I do it. I like people to know that it's me.
Yeah.
That it's real. It's not a virtual assistant. It's not, there's nothing against that. But like I said, I'm not looking to market to you on Instagram. I'm looking to have a conversation with you. And I feel like I need to initiate that conversation in the right way. And for me, that's sending you a direct voice message, letting you know that you're heard.
Yeah.
That's how I operate there. I also do voice work. If you ever need any of that, you can do.
I was gonna say, if anyone needs a voiceover, Adam is the dude. So
yes.
Well, this has been great, man. I really appreciate this. We'll have more information in the show notes, and just can't thank you enough, Adam. You've really given some great tips for people to pay attention to.
Well, thank you, Andy. And just as a fellow podcaster, I always appreciate people sharing their platform. It means the world to me that you share your audience and introducing me to them. So, and if you guys got anything out of this, go on Apple Podcasts, leave Andy a 5-star glowing review, and be sure to mention that this was your favorite episode with me.
There we go.
So he invites me back. But no, Andy, I appreciate you so much, man. I think that you're going to be crushing it on Instagram very, very soon.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, take care. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Adam SCHAEUBLE. Be sure to check out his website at www.millionpoundmission.com. That's millionpoundmission.com. Million Pound Mission is also his social media handle. You can check out all the show notes at our website of theweddingbiz.com. And don't forget to listen to our follow-on segment. It comes out every Wednesday, The Next Level, in which I have a guest co-host, and we tease out some of the highlights of the interview and help deliver them as tips and advice for you to raise your own business to the next level. And this week's guest co-host is going to be Shannon Leahy of Shannon Leahy Events. Shannon is absolutely incredible. She's out of San Francisco and Los Angeles. She plans and designs weddings and events worldwide. So be sure to check out The Next Level with her on it. And I want to tell you about next week's guest. It's going to be Reem Erodaki, bridal gown designer out of Paris, known as the Bridal Maison for the Rebel Goddess. And also toward the end of it, we have Greg Fink, who is her general manager and also a brilliant, brilliant photographer who was on The Wedding Biz out of Paris just about a month ago. So be sure to tune in next week and subscribe to the podcast so you get notifications and even automatic downloads if you want them whenever a new show comes out. And check out the website again, theweddingbiz.com. Our social media handle is The Wedding Biz. And finally, our sponsor for today is Kushner Entertainment. If you want some badass music and entertainment that is also very high touch, totally custom curated, check out KushnerEntertainment.com. And we'll catch you next week on The Wedding Biz.